Well, good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to the Ferndale City Council meeting for Monday, July 12th, 2015. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Lennon, Martin,
Here.
Polika,
Here.
Piana, here, and Mayor Coulter.
Here, thank you. Councilman Lennon has a work obligation. He said he may be late, but he'd asked us to excuse him in the case that he couldn't make it. Any objection to that?
No.
Thank you. Very good. Next item of business then would be the approval of the agenda. Is there any changes, additions to the agenda this evening?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Support.
Moved by Polika, supported by Martin. Any discussion? Martin, would you call the roll?
Council members Martin,
Yes.
Polika,
Yes.
Piana, yes, and Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. The agenda is adopted. Moving on to presentation, and our first presentation this evening is the Ferndale Public Schools update. I'm not sure, however, I see someone from the public schools. He may not be with us this evening, so why don't we move on to the next one, which is the Ferndale Beautification Commission's Holiday Lights Award. And I believe Suzanne is here, and we've got some awards to give out. Oh, and I've got a... Okay, sure. Because a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Okay, can everybody hear me? The Holiday Light Awards, we held it in December. We have a van. We were driving around and nominations were taken. So these are our winners for this year. And I'm hoping that some of the people have come to get their award. So the first, first winner is 665 Pearson, Jim and Pat Lind. Are they here?
Yes.
Oh, good. Come on up.
While they come up, why don't you explain this wonderful house?
Well, this year we were going not just for the overkill, but for like just really eye-pleasing and different types of lighting. So their house was just lit up so nice, and it even extended to the fence. They have Santas and candy canes and everything in the window too. It was really eye-pleasing. So really appreciate it. So that.
And we have an award for you. Come on in and I don't know.
There's no pictures.
Our former photographer is now our city manager, so maybe we but thank you.
Can you use your phone?
On the spot. How about that? You still got your holiday sweater on. Yes, I do. Ready? All right. It was appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you. So the next house was 1004 West Drayton, and this is Bob and Kathy Dashke, and I don't know if they're here tonight.
That's pretty.
And this was another one. It was all the way around the home, even went down the fence. It really lit up really nice. So our next winner was 2240 Hamada, and that's the home of Robert Parinello. And I guess he's not here either, but this was another real eye-catching one, especially it had the lights in the windows. I always like that. And our next winner.
All white lights. Do you have a preference for color versus white? What do you see more of?
Color. Color, yeah, for sure. So next one is 3171 Kenwood, and this is the home of Lori Ballou and Kathy Panak. And this, this is really original, and the windows. So, you want to talk about what you did?
You know what? I have 4 grandkids, and we just like to have fun with it. We have fun. Yeah.
You did.
We like cartoons. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Joe, you want to get some picture? Because stay out of here. That's beautiful. How long have you lived in Ferndale?
4 years.
So our commercial winner this year was Blooms by JR Design. And this picture really doesn't do justice. I mean, it is so decorated so nicely on the inside. And then on the inside, they have at least like a dozen trees. Each one's decorated with different colors and different lighting. And they really go all out for the holiday. And it's really nice to know, too, that a lot of it's very affordable. Even before the holiday, a lot of the ornaments and things were half off. So they do appeal to all ranges. So, you know, people should go in there and buy a dozen roses for like $9.99 right now. So that's a little...
Do you work for them?
No, you know, a lot of people I think are afraid to go there. They think it's real pricey, and it's not. And then this year, we have a special Lifetime Achievement Award for Just for Us. Everyone in here in the community has appreciated so much what Kevin Rogers has done every year, at least for 10 years, I believe. He's really gone out. And Joanne Wilcox is accepting the award for Just for Us. Thank you. Would you like to?
Before I give it to you, so in case everyone doesn't know, so the longtime business partner at Just for Us, Kevin Rogers, made his transition this past week. We did a memorial service for him on Saturday. Longtime member of this community, very involved. Everybody knew Kevin loved Kevin, and this and he did. And this Lifetime Achievement Award, I wish we could have given it to him while he was here, but is very well deserved for somebody who's an important part of our community. Joanne is his business partner at Just for Us, and more than that, obviously, his good friend.
Thank you very much. I get very emotional, of course, but I know Kevin is up there smiling, this big ear-to-ear smile. I'm very happy and thankful for this. And he's happy now. He's out of pain. Thank you.
So let's have a round of applause for Kevin. And Suzanne, to you and your committee, as always, thank you for your hard work.
Anything else? Just a little note, we're going to have our perennial exchange in the spring this coming year, so I just want to give everyone a heads up. Of course, we'll have information on our Facebook account, our Facebook site, and then, of course, coming here. So I want to just thank everyone for a whole year of support and decorating and everything. Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right. Again, thank you to everyone that's on the Ferndale Beautification Commission. That's actually a lot of work to go around and look at all the houses and make the awards, but they do an amazing job, and we appreciate it. The next item of business is call to audience. Call to audience.
I'm sorry, may I interject? I noticed that our school superintendent, Blake Pruitt, is just arrived.
And you probably want to do the Ferndale Public Schools update, Superintendent, if you'd like. I apologize. I moved right past you. But yes, we'd love to have you come on up and tell us what's new and exciting at Ferndale Public Schools.
I apologize, I'm late. Actually just coming from a board study session, so I'm running here, then running back.
Thank you.
So, because we all love board meetings all so much. I wanted to actually come to Ferndale, Pleasant Ridge, Royal Township, and Oak Park, all the different communities that the school district serves during the course of this month, to talk a little bit about kind of the state of the school district, what we're doing as we move forward, and some of the challenges that we're having that we're going to need to work collaboratively with. So kind of on the things that are moving forward, I know within the last couple of months we've passed a new Montessori program that will be up and running in combination with Ferndale Montessori. We'll be doing something called Project Lead the Way, which is a national STEM, science, technology, education, mathematics curriculum that will be put in place within the middle school. And it's something that was started by Rochester Institute of Technology and is now not only nationwide but worldwide, is international. And so our students will be starting that path within 7th grade, so starting to learn about engineering, which is not something that we've had in the past. We do have a great robotics team at our high school, and this will give us an opportunity to start students a little earlier to look at that path, because that is really the fastest growing career path out there, and that's the area where employers really can't find people, and we don't have enough curricular offerings in that area. Actually, just got done with Chief Collins, who will be here shortly. He was presenting to the school board regarding an early college model that we are looking at that would be in conjunction with the police department and with Baker College, that we would be offering an associate's degree as a 13th year as part of the school district. It's something through the state called an earlier middle college. So students stay in high school one more year in combination with a local college, and they're able to earn their associates. So one of those associate areas would be criminal justice. Baker does have an agreement with a local police academy, so the students could go straight from that 13th year in criminal justice right into the police academy. And then Chief Collins and some of the other officers from Ferndale Police Department would be helping us with those students, and they'd be starting in 11th grade, so they'd be taking college classes at Ferndale High School as part of their day starting in 11th grade. So the 4 career pathways we're looking at are criminal justice, medical, it'd be medical technology associates that they could go and then finish a bachelor's after that if they wanted to, computer programming, and then marketing. And each one does have an internship part of it within that 13th year, so they can be marketable and get jobs after that, or continue on with their degree to get their bachelor's if they so choose. So that's something that we're hoping within the next month or so that we'll have kind of fleshed out and make sure that financially it's something the school district can do. But Baker College is very excited to be part of it. We'd be the first early college with them in this area, although they have 8 other early colleges within the state of Michigan right now, but we'd be the first within Oakland County to do it with Baker. So those are some of the new and upcoming things. Some of the things that, now that I'm through my first 6 months as superintendent, which it's hard for me to believe that it's been 6 months. It's been a lot of things going on. Part of what I've needed to do is to assess the current health of the school district. Look at our academics, our finances, our facilities, and really where are we at when we look 5 years out. The school district has been eating through its fund equity for the last 2 years, upwards to about $2.2 million. So we're at about a 6% fund equity, which is healthy right now in the state of Michigan for schools. But the way I put it is we're a boiler and a roof away from being in deficit. And the sad thing is that almost all school districts in the state of Michigan are in this same boat. Warren Consolidated, one of the largest districts in the state, is looking at going into deficit this year. There are many in Oakland County that have gone in deficit. Our goal as a district is not to go in deficit. So to do that, what do we need to do? Well, academically, we know that we have some areas we need to address, like any school district, and we need to put our resources towards those. Right now, we're not on the right side of spending for instruction. We're a little too low in terms of the county average, where we're spending too much on non-instructional areas. So we have to change that dynamic. One of those big areas is facilities. So we've engaged Paul Wills of Plant Moran, who's actually a former Ferndale resident, and he, with Plant Moran, have been going through all our buildings to give us a full assessment of where we actually are. Even though that we're at the tail end of a bond, the bond originally was set for $44 million. What eventually was approved was $22. So there was a good $22 million at some point the district said we need in our buildings that we never approved. There was no facility assessment written when I came in that I could tell you here are all the issues in our buildings. So I needed a company like Plant Moran to go through and verify what our issues are. As of right now, within the next 1 to 3 years, they're projecting with our current buildings, we need about another $8 million in order to keep safety and security within all the buildings and to keep things up. We do have boilers that are well past their life. We have roofs that are well past their life. The greater issue is we have enough buildings for 7,000 students, yet we only have 3,000 students. The district will never again see that 6,000 to 7,000 number. But also the way the state has set it up is that if you don't repurpose your buildings or demolish your buildings, then charter schools or EA can come in and take them within a short amount of time. Just to give an example of when we closed the doors on Taft for just the remainder of the year, we received 15 phone calls the next day from various charter schools wanting to purchase the building. We have no desire to create competing entities within the city of Ferndale. We feel that we do a great job for our students and we don't need other people coming and doing it for us. But that does mean we do have a lot of buildings and a lot of space that is underutilized. So we're starting to go through the process of what does that look like and what do we do with buildings that maybe we need to take offline. Is it something where we collaborate with the city in terms of developing land to maybe create more space for people to live? Are there other repurposes for buildings that we have? In looking at those different pieces. So we have the whole finance piece, the facility piece, and at the end of the day, what comes first is the kids. And we're not putting enough money into instruction, and we're putting too much money into facilities, maintenance, buildings. So how do we make sure that we change that properly so that we can make sure that a kindergartner has the same education that a 12th grader has, and in some aspects better? So our overall goal is that when we get done with this restructuring, is that we actually have stronger programs. We actually have gains as opposed to losses. But it's going to be, never an easy process. And we have a strategic plan that the district has done. That's what's leading us. January 27th at the high school, we'll be having Plant Moran and Michigan Leadership Institute doing a community forum to kind of go through all the pieces and evidence that we've put together. And they'll be making some suggestions to say, here are some possibilities that you can do with your facilities and with your programming. So that'll be the start. There will be a program called Talk to Us, which will be on our website. It'll be a little icon. And anyone from the community, anywhere, alumni, can click it. They can they can press comment, idea, rumor, and click on that, write whatever they want. And that automatically gets sent to us confidentially. And then as long as it's not libelous or slander, that'll be put on our website. So every comment that's made will be transparent so everyone can see. That doesn't mean that whoever posts the most comments on one particular issue is going to be the person that wins at the end of the process per se. But we want to make sure that everyone in the community has a voice within this, and not everyone can make community forum meetings. So that's kind of where we're at the start of the process. And it's going to be up to the school board in terms of how fast or slow they want this process to take. So, but beyond that, nothing is going on.
Clearly, you've been doing nothing for the last 6 months, Superintendent. Well, first of all, let me say I want to thank you for being here and for being as candid as you've been and as transparent as you've been. I think that it's very helpful for the council to hear that, for the community to hear what you're doing. And I would just tell you that however this shakes out or however it looks like, and I know some of the conversations have already begun, that the city, to the extent that it makes sense and we can, would be happy to be partners in anything that we can do, because your success is our success and vice versa. So we're in this together. So I appreciate you being here. And does council have any questions or comments of the superintendent?
Nope. We'll keep in collaboration with the city as we go through this to do what's best for the community.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Good to see you.
Have a great evening. I'll go back to the other board meeting.
All right. All right. Thank you. All right, now our next item of business is call to audience, and this is your opportunity, for those of you here in the audience, to address council on any topic that you would like that's not on the agenda, because you could talk to that when we get to that part of the agenda, for up to 3 minutes. So if there's anyone here who would like to address council, come on up, give us your name and your address if you're comfortable doing that, and tell us what's on your mind. Good evening.
Good evening. A new mic. Sherry Wells, 315 West Troy, And what we have coming up is not this Wednesday, but the Wednesday after, is Living Better for Free. And we will be telling people about Free Cycle and Time Bank and having people giving testimonials. And Time Bank people will come with their requests and offers to maybe exchange them live instead of only online. And free cyclers can bring a box of small stuff that you can't really announce, I need to get rid of this, this, and this, rather than putting it into the trash for the city to have to pay for. So it benefits the city, it builds community. There will be light refreshments. It's Wednesday, January 21 at 7 o'clock at the Ferndale Library. Y'all come, free.
It's free. Thank you, Sherry. Anyone else would like to address council this evening? Dennis, good evening. Happy New Year.
Yeah, same to you, too. Dennis August, 1550 Spencer. I got a question. What is going on with this railroad when they continue to, just seems like, block these intersections longer and longer and longer now? I mean, going from one side of town to the other here in Ferndale is getting to be a pain in the butt, because not only is it in the evening, usually around 9:30, whenever, but it's during the day too. And then the other night about 7:30, 7:45. I mean, why can't we do something about this? Why can't they just break that train off and let the traffic pass through? When you got to go either down on 8 Mile or up to Royal Oak just to get through, just to get from one side of Ferndale to the other, something's wrong there. I mean, I realize they can't get ticketed anymore, but what's going on? I mean, are you guys talking to the county and the county talking to the state? Is there anything at least trying to be done to curb this problem? I know we've had issues in the past because I've attended meetings, and I even brought it up that this railroad should work with the cities to either make a bridge or at least one lane, like here at 9 and Hilton, so that the traffic can get through instead of going all the way down to 696 and, Royal Oak and going around that way. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. Doesn't seem to matter what time of day it is, and it's getting longer and longer and longer. So, I mean...
So in answer to your question, the answer is yes. The city has been in active, direct conversations with the railroad itself on a number of issues. This is just one of a number of issues that people have expressed about the railroad, and part of it's been the horn, and it seems like they lay on the horn longer than they used to. Some of the intersection issues are part of that, and other issues. And so we have been meeting with representatives of CN Railroad for the last couple of months. Councilman Martin and I are the council subcommittee working with staff to work with CN Railroad, and we hope to have some answers to some of these questions. Right now we're in the process of sharing with them our concerns and finding out ways that we can address them. I don't have answers for you yet tonight, but the conversations are happening currently.
Is the state even taking an interest in this?
We've approached it as a local city problem, and we went right directly to CN. So we're not using the state as sort of an intermediary. So more to follow, Dennis. Appreciate it. Anyone else like to address council this evening? All right. Seeing none, I will call the audience, and we'll move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items, in case you don't know, those are items that council considers routine, and we enact those in one motion unless someone on council removes something from the consent agenda. Let me read that now. Item A is the approval of the minutes of the special and regular meetings held December 15, 2014. Item B is the approval of the reappointments to the Board of Review, Thomas King and Phil Poole, for terms ending December 31st, 2016. Reappointing to the Environmental Sustainability Commission, Mark Van Dyke, Todd Blankenship, Jennifer Young, and Doug Christie, for terms ending December 31st, 2015, as submitted by our city clerk. Item C is the approval to receive and file the 2015 meeting schedule and calendar. Item D is the approval to eliminate the current 6-person, wait, isn't that on the regular agenda? No, it's not. excuse me. So item D is the approval to eliminate the current 6-person part-time police dispatcher program and replace it with the proposed program, adding 2 full-time Swing A and Swing B dispatcher positions for the police department, as submitted by the police chief.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, that on the online posting, that is part of the regular agenda.
I thought it was. That's why I thought that
It's
was.
not part of
but
consent.
not on that. All right. So that is now has been revised and moved to the regular
Yes,
agenda.
it should be item D.
Okay.
in the
My
regular
apologies.
agenda.
I must have an old copy of the agenda. Thank you. Item E is the approval to authorize the upgrade of the live scan equipment for the police department for a total of $7,985.74 to be taken from the repair and maintenance account. Item F is the approval to adopt the poverty exemption. Now, by the way, are my letters wrong now?
No, you're good.
Yeah, I'm good? Okay. Approval to adopt the poverty exemption guidelines and poverty exemption application is required under the General Property Tax Act. Item G, approval of a voluntary separation agreement with the city employee is submitted by our finance director. Item H is the approval to adopt the resolution as part of the permit that allows the city to work on Woodward Avenue and 8 Mile Road in 2015 as submitted by our Director of Public Works. Item I is the approval of the city's 2015 community membership in the Traffic Improvement Association and to charge the expense of $5,800 to the Major Streets Fund membership and dues account. Item J is the approval of a contract between the Michigan Department of Transportation and the City of Ferndale for asphalt resurfacing, drainage improvements, concrete curb and gutter, concrete sidewalk and ramps, pedestrian signals, and pavement markings on Hilton Road from Woodward Heights to 10 Mile Road, and to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the agreement. Item K is the approval of the Tri-County International Trucks, Inc. invoice for the emergency repair of Rescue 11-2 for a total of $5,948.27 as submitted by our fire chief. And finally, the approval of the bills and payroll as submitted by the city manager's office, subject to the review of the council finance committee. What is council's pleasure on the consent agenda this evening?
I would move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I support.
Moved by Martin and supported by Piana. Any discussion on the consent agenda, either by council or members of our audience?
Yeah, I have one, just a point of discussion. In the past, in years past, there's been some discussion around our TIA membership. Is council completely comfortable approving this again?
I am.
Good.
For
I
the
just wanted
first
to make
time
sure.
in 5 years.
I just wanted to make sure.
Other discussion? All right. Marnie, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Polika,
Yes.
Piana,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
and Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. The consent agenda is adopted. The last one. Okay, thank you. Regular agenda item A is the consideration to appoint Robin Yelverton to the Beautification Committee for a term ending December 31st, 2017. Is
I
there a
move
motion?
to confirm, sorry, my computer's jumping. I move to confirm the appointment of Robert Yelverton to the Beautification Commission for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2017.
Support.
Oh, jumping in to get into that one. I'll say Piana and Polika moved and seconded that. Is there discussion?
I would just say of all of our appointments tonight, we have a really impressive slate of candidates and diversity that we're putting on committees. These are new faces. Robbins, Cohen, or Abloons, and just can't say thanks enough for his willingness to serve in this community. So I fully support this.
Indeed. All right. Marnie, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Piana,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Polika,
Yes.
and Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. That appointment is adopted. The next item of business is the consideration to appoint Jennifer Bentley to the Civil Service Board for a term ending December 31st, 2020. Wow, that's a long term.
It is. I'd move that we confirm the appointment of Jennifer Bentley to the Civil Service Board for a 6-year term ending December 31st, 2020.
Is there support?
I support.
Moved by Martin and supported by Piana. Any discussion on this item?
Council members Martin,
Yes.
Polika,
Yes.
Piana,
Yes.
and Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. That appointment is adopted. Next item of business is the consideration to appoint Ian Williamson to the Planning Commission for a term ending December 31st, 2015.
I move to confirm the appointment of Ian Williamson to the Planning Commission for a one-year term ending December 31st, 2015.
I support.
Moved by Polika and supported by Piana. Any discussion?
Nope, just that he served the Board of Zoning and Appeals, and it's a natural progression to go from the BZA to the PC. So I appreciate his stepping up. It's going to be a busy year.
And we're going to miss him on the BZA.
I will say, too, just so the audience and people at home understand why some appointments are on the consent agenda and some are on the regular. These are folks who are being appointed for the first time to these positions. The reappointments go on the consent agenda because we've officially adopted those individually before, just in case you were wondering. Marnie, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmembers Polika,
Yes.
Piana,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
and Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. That appointment is adopted. Moving on to item D is a consideration to appoint Danny DeRose and Shannon Ross to the Arts and Cultural Commission for terms ending December 31st, 2016.
I move that we confirm the appointments of Danny DeRose and Shannon Ross to the Arts and Cultural Commission for 2 years ending December 31st, 2016.
Support.
Moved by Martin and supported by Polika. Any discussion?
I just wanted to let you know that Shannon Ross is here tonight. She is one of our election inspectors that we talked into joining us on boards and commissions, if you'd like to meet her.
Shannon, we would like to embarrass you and tell you to come on up and say hi. Promise it'll be the last time we do this to you.
No.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for your willingness to serve. What prompted your interest?
Honestly, I really enjoyed being an election inspector. It was my first time back in August. And Barb Miller actually suggested that I apply, so I thought, why not?
Great.
So,
Thank you.
They're always on the lookout for talent, so I assume that's...
Yeah, I'll add, I've talked to both chairs as the liaison to the Arts Commission. I've talked to both chairs, and they're really excited to have you engaged and come on board. So they've seen your application, and thank you so much.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So that was moved by Martin and supported by Polika. Martin, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmembers Piana,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Polika,
Yes.
and Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. That appointment is also adopted. Now, just to make sure I don't have an old agenda, so is the East 9 Mile project
Correct.
next? Okay, so the next item of business would be the consideration of conditional rezoning at 1221 East 9 Mile Road.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We are here tonight to present, the applicant has requested a conditional rezoning of 1221 East 9 Mile from its current zoning district, which is C2, to a what is referred to as a conditional M1 or general industrial district. The applicant, I think the City Council is aware, is K9 to 5. It's been a business in our community for some years now. They've outgrown their existing location on Hilton that the City Council had a role in putting in place a couple of years ago. And we, along with Ms. Blondie here, have been looking for a new location for her for quite some time because of the expansion of the operation. And this location lends itself perfectly to what her operation is and what she's trying to do. I think the Planning Commission may remember some of the original discussion that took place when when K9 to 5 first located here, was we had to amend some ordinances to allow a short-term dog daycare grooming type operation within the city. Our existing zoning ordinances didn't allow the type of use. We did, and at the time it was limited to the M1 General Industrial District for obvious reasons, for concerns over noise and some of the siting. However, with, I think, probably good fortune, we have very limited amounts of that space left. So as we were looking, we found a location, or Ms. Blondie found a location at 1221 East 9 Mile that is a historically industrial type property. It's a 22,000 square foot building. It was designed and constructed as an industrial building and is currently used as a non-conforming industrial use. It's a tire warehouse and distribution center. In discussions with the property owner, Ms. Blondie was able to secure an option on the property and submitted for what we refer to as a conditional rezoning, which does rezone the property from general commercial to general industrial with a series of conditions that are offered by the applicant to negate any perceived or real impacts of the change in zoning. In this instance, the applicants have offered, the main condition is that although rezoned, the property would be limited to the doggy daycare or short-term grooming or boarding operation only. None of the other industrial uses normally associated with the district would be permitted within the district. They are by ordinance allowed to offer up those conditions as part of a rezoning. The Planning Commission did review the request recently, did hold a public hearing in which no comment was received, and did recommend unanimously that the City Council conditionally rezone the property from C2 General Commercial to Light Industrial. I'm going to let Liz talk a little bit about K9 to 5 and the need for the expansion, and then obviously we'll be here to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. And also thank you. Huge thanks to Derek for his hard work over the last 2 years in trying to help me find a building and, you know, coaching me through the process of what building would work and what building wouldn't work. K9 to 5 opened in Detroit's Midtown in 2005, and we continued to grow, and I decided that I was interested in a second location, and really Ferndale was one of the only cities that I considered for a second location. I opened K9 to 5 Ferndale in January of 2013, so we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary right now. We have exceeded every expectation in the last year. We've increased our dogs per day by 62% and our boarding by 27%, growing the business overall by 98% in the last year. The thing that will limit our growth in 2015 is space. We're turning customers away now, which is not something I enjoy doing, but in terms of safety, you know, dogs per handler, dogs per square foot, we've decided to cap it, but I would love the opportunity to grow my business. As Derek mentioned, I have been looking for a business, or for a new building for over a year. I have had 2 offers in on buildings in M1 zoning, and neither of them have worked out. So it's tough. There's not a ton of buildings kind of in my size range. If I wanted, you know, a 40,000 square foot building, I'd be all set. There's a couple on 9 Mile for sale, or 100,000 square foot building, but it's just, it doesn't make sense for my type of business. So this will allow us to go from 15 employees to 30 employees. It'll allow us to expand our offerings from just daycare and cage-free boarding to traditional boarding, retail, grooming, and a dog event space, which is something that we've done briefly over on Hilton, and the community really seems to enjoy.
What is that?
Basically, we host, it's kind of like an indoor dog park. We host play dates where you actually come with your dog. It's 2 hours. You watch your dog play with other dogs. We kind of guide you through the process. You know, we have our pack leaders there to make sure everyone's playing nice and point out different behaviors. Oh, see, your dog shouldn't be doing that. Or, oh, look at your dog's playing really well with these other dogs. This is good. So people like it a lot.
Yeah.
And we would probably go back to even possibly doing it weekly or every other week if we had the space to do it.
Excellent.
What questions can I answer
Anyone
for
have
you
any
guys?
questions? Liz or Dan?
I do.
Hold on.
I do want to offer up some commentary before you ask questions. I had the opportunity to review the property with Miss Blondie a couple weeks ago, well, before Christmas.
December, yeah, early December.
And early December, and to review the property, as I am the liaison to the Planning Commission and the City Council. And I know one of the concerns I had was the proximity of the building to single-family homes, and I think this is the best-case scenario that we can come up with this piece of property, with the size of it to accommodate the growth of our business, but also there's an alleyway, there's a park there, and I think the Planning Commission, I was not at the Planning Commission meeting when this was reviewed, but all the notes indicate that I think there are some steps in place if the city does receive complaints, and I believe Ms. Blondie is a very conscientious business owner who will work with us in case any of those situations do arise. So I just wanted to put it out there right away that it's a huge building. I had no idea. It looks smaller from the front, so I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you.
I would also add, just in addition to the previous comments, there were other conditions offered that protect the city against the perceived negative impacts. One is that no more than 3 dogs would be allowed outside in the play area from 8 in the evening till 6:30 in the morning. The number 3 was determined based on that's how many dogs an individual residential property is allowed to own. The applicant, if it's successful tonight, will be required to file a conditional rezoning agreement with the city, which will be reviewed by the city attorney and recorded with the property. And also, if the operation of a dog daycare ceases to be at the site, that the site will automatically revert back to the M1 zoning. So those protections are in place to protect the intent of the master land use plan and allow a use that the Planning Commission felt was consistent with the desires of the master land use plan at the same time. So those are also in place as part of the agreement.
Yeah, I just have a question and a comment. Were the abutting residences noticed that this change was being proposed?
Yes, everybody within 300 feet was noticed individually.
Great. And then my comment is I just want to compliment you on the list of conditions attached to this. I think it reflects the concern of the business owner and the city as well, and it was very creative, and I just like the way this is set up. So
This guy's good advice. He's good at advice.
So I think it's very conscientious, and it reflects, you know, your concern in that area. So thank you for crafting it this way.
Is there a motion?
I actually have one question.
Okay, sure.
As the liaison to the Parks and Rec, there's a park, Vester Park, right behind it. Can we be guaranteed that it won't turn into a pseudo dog park?
How should I answer this? Most of my customers, they're on their way to work, and then they pick their dog up, and they just want to go home. They're bringing their dog to me because they don't necessarily want to walk it or take care of it. So there's a large grass space on the front side of my building. I would imagine that we'll spend a lot of time cleaning up that space, but I can't actually see my customers wanting to go behind the building. But it is a good point, for sure. And, you know, we currently encourage customers to clean up after their dogs, and it's just something that we do is...
Most dog owners are responsible, but
Yeah.
there's always a few
Yeah.
who aren't.
I can't see people, you know, picking their dogs up and saying, you know what, you don't look quite tired enough. Let's go to the park back behind the place.
Okay. That's my only concern.
All right. I'd move that City Council approve the conditional rezoning request for 1221 East 9 Mile Road, K99-5, Sidwell number 25-26-360-005, with the following findings and conditions as noted in the council packet.
I support.
Moved by Martin and supported by Piana. Now, any other questions or comments?
A comment sort of unrelated but related. I just want to say this is the third rezoning that the city has done in the last 6 months, which indicates that we need to be looking at our master plan and see what we should be changing. So just to say, we've done a rezoning on 8 Mile for the strip retail. We've done Woodward for the Catholic school to become a
Assisted living.
Assisted living, thank you, and now on Hilton. So I just wanted to say that usually as an indicator, we need to go back and review our zoning, which I think we'll be doing soon.
Well, and I guess I would just like to say I want to thank you for sticking with this. We're glad that you're growing in Ferndale. I know a couple other properties didn't work, and for various reasons, mostly the proximity to residential, but we appreciate that you run a really excellent facility, and glad that you stuck it out in Ferndale, and you're growing here, so.
My neighbors love your business.
Yeah,
This is
great.
a lovely community to do business in. I've met really nice people, you know, a lot of other business owners. Because of the size of our building, we don't have an office, so we've started holding all of our internal meetings at either the WAB or the Emory.
Okay.
Because the owner reached out to us and said, hey, here's a good place to have a meeting. So it's just, it's, you know, Carol Jackson, and it's just Jay McMillan. It's just nice person after nice person. It makes it easy to do business here, for sure.
Love to hear that.
A
as
great
well.
reputation,
Thank you.
too. When I'm talking to folks about this, they just love the work you do, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
From staff, we were a little hesitant when Liz first came in. We have not received a single complaint, and it's one of the more easy to work with business owners and operations in the city from a city standpoint. We have, in 2 years almost now of this type of operation, we haven't received a single complaint either from a customer or a resident or any other surrounding business owners, and I think that's a testament to how meticulous Liz is about the operation she runs, and certainly we appreciate that as well.
Thank you. All right, Marnie, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Martin?
Yes.
Polika?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
And Mayor Holder?
Yes, thank you. The item is adopted.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. All right. And the last item is the approval to eliminate the current 6-person part-time police dispatcher program and replace it with the proposed program adding 2 full-time Swing A and Swing B dispatcher positions for the police department as submitted by the police chief. And Joe, are you going to introduce that?
Yeah, this item will be introduced by Police Chief Tim Collins and the Human Resources Director, Jenny Beluski.
Excellent. Thank you.
Good evening, Your Honor.
Good evening.
This project, as you recall, when we came before council about a year and a half ago, the Michigan legislature now requires that all individuals that handle 911 calls be trained as a dispatcher or go through other training, which very much precludes patrol officers from being on the dispatch desk. We tried to come up with a kind of a revolutionary part-time dispatcher scheme. We have had some serious problems with retention. As the economy has improved, the part-time dispatchers have moved on to greener pastures. We thought that we would have a plethora of applicants, but as it turns out, we are having a very difficult time retaining them. We've had some difficulties with the training of them as well due to the 12-hour shifts, and it pretty much has been a failure. I blame mostly Jennifer for that. That's funny, but as it really was a good effort on Jennifer's part and our part to try to save some money and to actually comply with that law. It just didn't work out. So this was actually proposed or designed by one of the patrol officers who came up with this idea. Although it is not perfect, it certainly puts us back in the ballpark of trying to have at least one trained dispatcher working 24/7. And what he proposed was, John Heath was the officer that came up with this idea, was to hire 2 full-time dispatchers and put them on a 12-hour swing shift from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and then have them all pick vacations and time off in a pool with the day shift, swing shift, and night shift all of the same number. And as you do the math, it works out perfectly. We also kind of lucked out. We have one of our part-time dispatchers that's more than willing, she's in training, but she's more than willing to take the full-time position if this is approved. And we have one of our former dispatchers that just resigned recently to go to the police academy and just has graduated from the police academy and would come back as a full-time dispatcher until he gets a job as a police officer. But this would allow us to, at a lesser cost, to cover our dispatch function 24/7, or at least give us a better scheme of operation.
Do you want to fight back? No. Anything that, no.
Come on. Fun fighting.
I'm teasing, but anything to add, Jennifer? Did he cover that well, or?
No, I would just also say we did put forth a lot of effort. The first time we went through a recruitment process, came up with a list, whittled through those quite quickly. We kind of took a step back and said, a lot of people said this isn't going to work. We said, no, let's try again. If it doesn't work the next time, we'll start looking at other options. So we did give it every best effort we had, and unfortunately it's just, I don't think it was a good time for that scheme, but I think we're ready to try something different in the hopes that it works.
And talk a little bit about the cost differential between the two systems, the old system and the new.
I can do that if you like, Your Honor. Is that we came up with a median cost of what a full-time dispatcher with benefits would cost. That's going to range differently because of the way that we budget now. It's we don't just have a set fee. We actually look at the individual, so we know exactly what a full-time dispatcher would cost with full benefits with family and whatnot, and then we have a dispatcher that would cost with just an individual. So we kind of took a median number of about $56,000 as that, and we multiplied that by 4, so that gave us what it's costing us for the 4 dispatcher scheme for full-time dispatchers, and then we added up what it would cost us for the 6 part-time dispatchers, which would be the approved, which we never achieved. And then we added those 2 figures together, and then we took the $56,000 and multiplied it by 6 and subtracted it. And it's about a $35,000, depending on who you hire. I mean, if you get somebody that, I mean, if there's a cost range depending on how their family is situated. But we used the most conservative numbers that we could, and at those conservative numbers, it's about a $30,000 to $35,000 savings from the original approved plan. So I thought I really want to give credit to the officer that came up with the idea, because it really had made a lot of common sense. And I worked with Jennifer extensively, and we put this together, and we've been playing around with the numbers, and to our surprise, it really is a workable solution. And we add 2 people to the the retention of a full-time employee, we anticipate will be much easier than part-timers. Because part-timers are always looking for, full-time employment, and particularly now with the economy improving, trying to retain them has become quite difficult as a part-time employee scheme.
So, any questions of council?
Do other departments have this problem with dispatch?
Dispatchers are a nomadic breed. We have been very lucky. We have been very lucky in retaining the dispatchers that we've had. The ones that we have lost, we've lost to other agencies that pay a little bit more to us than we do. And we have lost, Rob McDonald, we lost because he wants to be a police officer and he had to send himself to the police academy. You really can't do a 12-hour shift. And so, but we've been really lucky in retaining our dispatchers, but many agencies, dispatchers tend to go where there's not a lot of long-term dispatchers. In our particular case, we've retained our dispatchers for many years. That's a very good thing. But they do tend to drift, if you will, to different jobs where the benefits and the pay increase.
Thank you.
I move to approve the elimination of the current 6-person part-time police dispatcher program, replace it with the proposed program adding 2 full-time Swing A and Swing B dispatcher positions for the police department.
Support.
Moved by Piana and supported by Polika. All right. Further questions or comments on this item?
I just want to say that I think you should be commended for really trying something new, and I think that's what we always want for our employees and the leadership of all of our departments. If you're going to fail, fail fast and try to innovate, and that's, to me, the type of, trying things out and making things work, and if they don't work, that's all right,
I appreciate that, but also, and one of the things you would add is always have a fall guy.
It's clear. You made that happen. So, but I just wanted to say, I'm really excited just to hear that you guys are trying new things, and that should be commended.
Thank you.
Agreed. Yeah.
All right. Any other comments? Marnie, would you call the roll?
Council members Piana?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Polika?
Yes.
And Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. That item is adopted. Next item of business would be call to council. So, Police Chief, anything else for the good of the community this evening?
No, sir. I believe the school district was here, and they explained my absence early on.
They did.
And so we're very excited about working with the school district on that project. Seems to be coming along. It'll be presented to the school board at the next meeting, so I may not be here again 2 weeks from now. They would like us to be there represented that meeting as well.
Well, it's another great example of how we can partner with them, so I appreciate you working with them.
We're very excited. We think it's going to be a very good program.
Question for you. If you get an associate's degree in law enforcement, criminal justice, can you use that to become a police officer?
Well, the way this program, it's a very interesting program, is that we started this, how we got involved in this is because of the lack of African Americans that are interested in law enforcement. And one of the things where we lose them is that most police academies are not, most cities are not sponsoring candidates to go through the police academy anymore. So the cost of going to the police academy is fairly significant. Well, what happened in this program is that they would spend 13 years in high school. They would, with the criminal justice program, they would be probably about 15 or 16 credits shy of an associate's degree in criminal justice. But upon graduation of the 13th year, we've already worked with the Macomb Police Academy. We hope to work with the Oakland Police Academy. Once they graduate from that 13th year, they're going to bring them into the police academy, which they get 20 credits for. So they will save those credits. They won't have in the 13-year program. They won't have those 20 credits that you'll actually gain in the police academy. So once you graduate from the police academy, you're a licensed police officer with an associate's degree for free, because the 13th year is free in the middle college program. And then because once they've graduated from that, they can apply for student aid to go through the police academy, which you can't do now because it's part of the college program, they can. So this is, we hope to retain more individuals that are interested in law enforcement through this program. Not to mention the fact that some of my people will actually be able to teach some of the classes, and we'll have them here, and it'll be very interesting to
and we could potentially encourage local people to get involved in it.
Absolutely.
And increase the diversity of the pool of candidates, and great program. Nice. Excited about it. Thanks. Fire Chief Sullivan, you did have some work over the last few weeks, have you not?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Council, we had a fire that happened over the holidays, which is a couple points need to be made on. A 4-year-old picked up a lighter in the dark of the early morning and lit a piece of paper on fire so he could see what he was doing. When the fire engulfed the paper, he dropped it. Obviously, it was hot, catching the room on fire at where his mother slept, and exited downstairs. And then he decided to re-enter the zone that was on fire because his mother hadn't come out yet. Well, she woke up with a room full of fire, the roof, the ceilings, the walls, and grabbed the 4-year-old, and they barely escaped with their lives. The smoke detectors were not in play. Lighters and matches were at mid to ground level where a child could get a hold of them. So I'd like to remind everybody there used to be a program through the NFPA of Strike Zone where you lift your arm as an adult and anything such as torches, matches, and lighters should be kept above the strike zone when there's small children around. Teach children that fire is a tool, and lighting birthday candles and all that, and if you find one of these things, to turn it to an adult immediately and not play with it. Because kids typically know they're not supposed to be doing something. When they play with fire and they light something, they tend to try and hide it and figure it'll just go out and it'll go away, which might happen some of the times, but usually it catches the house on fire. And then the working smoke detectors is another thing, is always check your smoke detectors. They're relatively cheap now. They come in all types of sizes. We recommend the dual smoke and heat, the 2 type of smoke detector, the ionization. Warning of smoke detectors is considered by the NFPA to be barely enough to get you out alive. So the more the merrier. Inside the bedroom, outside the bedroom, in the hallways. Buy anything that catches fire, the kitchen and the furnaces and that, so that you get warning that there's a problem in the house. Fire extinguishers are typically met, as we had a commercial fire, they're there not for the people of the building to try and extinguish their fire. They're there for you to gain egress, to get out if the fire is blocking between you and your exits. And if you are going to put out a fire, we recommend someone protect the egress and call us immediately. Typically in these commercial fires, what we're seeing is people grab 8 or 9 extinguishers throughout the building and attempt to put out the fire themselves. If that works, great, everything worked out well. If it doesn't, you still haven't called us yet, the fire will double in size every 11 seconds, which creates quite a problem for the staff of the commercial building and us putting it out and saving most of your business. So it's really important that people get that in their heads to now, the last thing is a program called EDITH, Exit Drills in the Home. Just as we did in school, and we should do in any commercial building, we should also do in the home. Everybody should have a meeting place, a tree or a landmark, a sign or something outside that's standard and there all the time, and everyone should get out of the house on their own and meet at that place. Most parents think they can save their children. They cannot. Fire burns us just like it does a child. So if there are multiple children in the room, you need to make way for the young ones that can't move on their own. Everyone else should be taught to close their door at night because it is a fire barrier. It's not for privacy. Feel the door before trying to open it to exit the building. And if that door is warm or hot, leave the door shut, stuff something at the bottom of the door, and go out your window. It's a much safer approach. Anytime you go into a room, if there is fire in the building, shutting that door does prevent what we call flow paths in modern science. And the flow path is the fire trying to move toward air. So shut any door, and that cuts off the fire from following or chasing you into a room you're trying to exit through. And those are all important things, because that was a near miss. Thank God it wasn't. Everybody got out okay, but there were a few lacking safety things there, so we recommend everybody take a good look at that with the new year, 2015. Happy New Year, and be safe.
Thank you, Chief, and great job by your crew as always.
Thank you.
Appreciate you saving that family. Appreciate it. Jill, anything from the Recreation Department this evening?
Just a couple quick announcements, a couple save the dates. We are teaming up for the first season. Our Little Eagles basketball program just kicked off this past Saturday, and we are working with the schools. We are hosting two community nights during a men's varsity basketball game on January 20th and February 17th, where we're inviting our players to attend. They'll be able to play at halftime. They'll get announced. We're going to have some information about our programs at each game, so we're looking forward to that, and currently talking about how we can maybe do this with some of our other sports leagues as well. And then this was just confirmed last week. The Kulik Center is going to be a site for the Blues Festival. We are going to be hosting a concert. Sixth grade choir will be there on January 28th at 5. So we look forward to having the kids come over to sing. There'll be about a 45-minute concert. So I'll save the dates, and that is it.
Excellent, thank you. Have you done that before? Has the Kulik hosted a
We were a couple
been a
of
venue
years,
for that?
2 years ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that. Great, thank you. Derek, anything else from economic development this evening?
Yes. Put on the code enforcement part of my job for a quick second. Just a reminder with the first snowfall that residents and business owners are required to remove snow from sidewalks adjacent to their homes or businesses. They do have 24 hours after the first significant snowfall to remove the snow. Starting tomorrow, obviously, we'll be out checking with people and working with them to make sure that specifically the major routes and the school routes are cleared off along the sidewalks. We do encourage people, if you have a neighbor or you yourself are unable or physically unable to remove the snow from the sidewalks, please contact us. We do drop a courtesy notice at a house reminding people if the sidewalks are uncleared. If you need assistance, we will do whatever we can to help you find that assistance. You can contact our department, the Community and Economic Development Department, at the general line of City Hall, but we just wanted to remind everybody with the first snowfall. Thank you.
If I may piggyback off of that as well, is if there is a snow emergency that's declared and you do not have a driveway, you can obtain the sticker to exempt you from the snow emergency and having to move your car off the street through the police department, not City Hall.
Correct.
Okay, thanks. The question's just come up a lot in the last week, imagine.
And I believe, in addition to the permit, we've identified a couple of lots that we are also encouraging folks to park in. Joe, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, for those who do apply for a snow emergency permit because they have maybe structured lease agreements that prevent them from access to a driveway, though the property does have a driveway, the city has provided the East Breckenridge lot and the West Breckenridge lot as city parking lots to be made available to those who do struggle to find a location for their car during a temporary snow emergency.
Great. If you want to know more, just give us a call here at City Hall. But thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see. Lloyd, anything from DPW this evening? Nothing. Wow. It's a busy time of year. All right. Jenny, anything else from HR?
A very exciting announcement. Today is actually the first day that we started seeing patients at our My Life Health and Wellness Center. So, as you know, we've been researching this idea and working towards the grand opening of our employee-driven, employer-sponsored health center that is operated between the cities of Ferndale, Madison Heights, and Royal Oak. It is located in the basement or the lower level of Madison Heights City Hall. We are up and running. Dr. Thomas and our nurse, our RN Julie, saw their very first patient from Ferndale today. We've received excellent feedback thus far from staff during our orientation meetings as it relates to their willingness to participate and their excitement about the concept. And so we definitely want to remind council that on Wednesday, January 21st at 5:30, that is going to be our ribbon cutting ceremony over at Madison Heights City Hall right outside the Health and Wellness Center. So if anyone else from staff or the public post that day would like to take a look at the center during our hours, we'd be more than happy to show you around. Our clinic currently will be open on Mondays for staff appointments between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., on Wednesdays between the hours of 4 p.m. and 8 p.m., and then on Thursdays from 8 a.m. to noon. So we're really excited to see this project come to fruition, and hopefully our employees, they're really going to drive the success of our clinic and hopefully help us grow in that endeavor, and we just really thank you for your support on that project.
Excellent.
Jenny, I'm sorry, what was the physician's name?
Dr. Thomas.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Our new, but not really quite so new, city clerk, first full meeting as city clerk. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You got through the first meeting all right. And anything from your office?
Yes,
for us?
yes. I wanted to play on the number of new appointments we had to city boards and commissions tonight. It's very exciting, but we need more help. I actually have a list here of boards and commissions that we have vacancies on. They are the Arts and Cultural Commission, the Beautification Commission, the Board of Review, the Board of Zoning Appeals, the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, Civil Service, the DDA, FESC, the Parks and Rec, Planning Commission, Police and Fire Board, and the Sidewalk Hardship Committee. So, with that, we have kind of redone the way that we are doing our applications now. Everything is going to go totally through OnBoard, so we encourage people to visit onboardmi.org. That's the words onboardmi.org, and that will direct you to descriptions and application criteria for all of those boards and applications. So please join us. And we have another exciting tidbit. The Oakland County Clerk's Office is doing a local office visit right here in the council chambers on Wednesday, the 14th, so 2 days from now, from 10:30 a.m. to 12 noon. And what this is saves you a trip to Pontiac. Anything that you can get from the county clerk's office, you can get here at the local visit, which is birth and death certificates, property documents, Oakland County Circuit Court documents, apply for marriage licenses, register to vote, renew your business registration, become a notary, renew your concealed pistol license. So we are very excited to have the Oakland County Clerk's Office joining us right here in the council chambers on Wednesday, January 14th.
Excellent, thank you. Joe, anything from the city manager's office this evening?
Yeah, I wanted to build a little bit on the snow emergencies, as we've seen the first real sign of accumulation for the first time in the last week. When a snow emergency is declared, I would like residents to know there's several options out there to hear about the snow emergency when it is declared and when it is declared to be over. The traditional media method, the city does notify the traditional media outlets, but in addition to that, we do have the city's website, which will always post a story notifying residents when it is declared and when it is over, and that is www.ferndalemI.gov. You can also visit the city's Facebook page if you're on social media, and you can also follow the city at Ferndale Mich on Twitter. And I'm excited to announce also that the city will be launching, and has launched tentatively, a email and text subscription service. So now you can register on the city's website, www.ferndalemI.gov, and you can register to receive news alerts by your smartphone or by your email address. And I'm also happy to announce that this is cost-free. The city is happy to announce that we've released this service in partnership with Oakland County's Information Technology. We've been working with them over the past couple months on identifying shared service opportunities, and this is one where we identified a shared service opportunity. So this new subscription service, we do encourage you to sign up. The more people who receive the message, the better. All this and more will be included in the quarterly newsletter, which will be mailed out to residents for the winter season next week. And I'd also like to remind residents that City Hall will be closed next Monday in observance for Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Can I ask a clarification question on the snow emergencies? You mentioned east and west Breckenridge lots as being available for folks during the snow emergency. Do we forego the hourly, daily rate while they park there?
Yes, while a snow emergency is declared, east and west Breckenridge lot will not be enforced. Okay. So there will not be payment or enforcement during the snow emergency. Great. Enforcement will resume once the snow emergency is lifted.
Wouldn't be much of a deal otherwise.
Well, I wanted to clarify that. Yeah, I didn't know.
Right. Gotcha. Dan, anything from the legal perspective?
Just two items. I anticipate bringing to council at its next meeting two proposed ordinance amendments, one dealing with the distance issues associated with body decorating establishments or salons, and the second issue would be proposing to modify the sign appeal process under the sign regulation.
Thank you. Look forward to that. Dan, anything from your
Yeah, a couple things. This Thursday from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., the Downtown Development Authority is having its annual planning session at Kulik. It's open to the public, and they very much encourage public participation. So if you want to have a say in the DDA's work over the course of the next year and have your input presented, please plan to attend all or part of that session. Again, from 4 to 9 this Thursday at Kulik Center. I want to extend thanks to Jay Kaplan, who actually performed on behalf of the Ferndale Arts and Culture Commission last night at Salon Sundays at Dino's Lounge. I wasn't there, but I understand his performance was outstanding. He's a bit of a local celebrity, Jay is, and just did a fantastic job and donated his time for that performance and raised a couple $100 for the Arts Commission. So I'm really appreciative of his work there. Also, in relation to the Arts and Culture Commission, on February 7th, there is an act-a-thon that's going to be held at Kulik as well from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. This is a fundraiser / community event that over the course of 8 hours, a troupe of local residents will be performing dialogues, debates. I understand there's a song and dance, and somehow I got roped into performing in this thing. So come on out and enjoy it. It certainly should be entertaining for any piece of that from 9 to 5 at Kulik on Saturday, February 7th. And then I just want to extend my thanks and compliments to Lloyd and his crew. The snow removal for this first round of accumulation this year has just been outstanding, and people keep commenting about how much better and cleaner Ferndale is. So again, hats off to your team. You guys just do a fantastic job. Thank you. Thanks. That's it.
All right, very good. Councilwoman Piana.
Yeah, a couple things. One, I'm excited to announce that I have been appointed to the Regional Transit Authority Citizens Advisory Committee. It is a committee that supports the RTA on its planning for the transit master plan that they're creating for the region, and they'll be looking at the Gratiot, Michigan, and Woodward Avenue for bus rapid transit. So I'm excited to serve in that capacity and oversee what they have in plan store for Woodward, which I will also continue my role as the city's liaison to the bus rapid transit environmental assessment, which will be starting, I don't know, in the next couple of months. And so I'm excited to continue in that role and represent Ferndale on the transit side. I also wanted to put it out there that I have received a couple inquiries from new residents asking about how they can get involved. And so I just wanted to point out that the city provides under community partners on services, community partners provides a pretty good list of all of the partners who help the city be successful, and I will post it out on Facebook, and maybe if you could put that out on the city, just saying, hey, new residents, this is how you can get involved, not only with city commissions and put on board too, but here's the Citizens for Ferndale, here's the Ferndale Community Foundation, and here are some other nonprofits. And so I know we have a lot of people who want to get involved, but need some guidance on where to go to find out some information. So, thank you.
All right. Councilman Pollica.
I have nothing at this time.
All right. And as often happens when you're last, I don't either. You've covered it all. So with that, our meeting is adjourned.